Hi everyone, this is Joe and welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem video. This is a postmortem of the my Blitz chess game number 25 where, let's see, I was black, so let's turn this around. And went into the Ruy Lopez, the four knights variation, and the game was pretty even up until my opponent fell into a queen trap. So I think for this video, mostly we'll talk about the opening, which is kind of interesting, and kind of speed through the rest of it. It was just a mopping up operation after that, but there were some interesting points along the way with regard to the opening. So I'm going to keep the opening book up and also Houdini up so you can take a look at the computer's opinion of these things. So e4, a5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, and a6. So these are all the normal Ruy Lopez moves. And then knight c3 my opponent plays, and this is known as the four knights variation of the Ruy Lopez. And you can see there's a couple moves here. Bishop e7, b5, d6. So a lot of things can be played. I chose bishop e7, which is most popular here, but bishop c5 is also playable, and it's kind of interesting to look at. So let's check that out for a second. So you want to put your bishop on an active square, but there is a problem here, which is that white can just grab that pawn. Let's see. Let me back that up so you can see that. See, that pawn is defended, but after white grabs it, and you grab his knight, he can play the center fork trick. So the d-pawn comes forward, attacking these two pieces, and bishop d6 is the normal move here, the approved move. And then white has to grab his pawn back, his piece back, and you get your pawn back. So this position is material even, and the computer thinks it's about even. So that's a way for black to play, and you get, I guess, an equal game. I wasn't sure how that was going to work out in the Blitz game, so I chose bishop e7, which is the safer move. And so continue along normal lines, castle. So castle here is a little bit unusual. b5 before castling to eliminate the possibility of him taking this knight. So this is the other kind of instructive point. I castled here, not really thinking about there's the usual problem where this pawn is hanging. So bishop takes, new variation, pawn takes, knight takes, and now I don't have this threat queen to here. Maybe I could play the queen up right away. What happens if I play the queen up right away? I'm attacking that, and I'm threatening to take that pawn. He just goes knight f3, hitting the queen, and the queen has to go away somewhere. So I don't get the pawn back playing like that. So let's go back. What's funny is that black can go ahead and take this pawn. So he's giving up a knight. But then after the queen comes here, the queen is attacking two pieces. And if the knight just retreats, then this is all good for black. So there's one of those positions where black, one of those lines where black got his pawn back. But what's interesting is that actually white has a good move here. If you were watching the computer valuations, it likes white here, and the reason is because of this move, knight takes c6. So this is something I definitely wouldn't have seen. If my opponent had played this, I would not have noticed this. And the problem is that, let's see, b takes c6 or queen takes e4. Let's say you take on e4, he can just take here with check, and he's grabbed a pawn. You see, got that c6 pawn for nothing. And what else could you try here? If you take the knight, then what is this? Rook e1 defending his knight. d3 defending his knight. Yeah, he just defends his knight. And he didn't get a pawn. Yeah, white's a pawn up in this lane too. So So you don't get your pawn back. Too bad. So this is probably good for white to go ahead and grab on c6 here and try and win that pawn. That's the kind of thing you need to have a long time game, or you're else you're just taking a gamble. Or if you know the opening theory, maybe you know it's okay to take there. But so it's probably a mistake for me to castle there, since I didn't wasn't really thinking about all those complications that might ensue. But fortunately for me, he just castled, and I defend the pawn. He defends his pawn, and I defend my pawn. And yeah, and we're past all those complications, and it's pretty much an even game here. The computer didn't like the knight e1 move, but white's trying to get some activity going on the king side, but playing f4 is a reasonable plan. And I'm trying to get my pieces placed actively and maybe harass this bishop. So here I was a little bit worried about him taking my knight and attacking here. But let's see, I have knight g4 here. What is knight g4 about? Aha, knight g4. Okay, knight g4 threatens to come to this square and fork his king and queen, so he doesn't have time to grab this pawn. Queen d2, bishop g5, knight f4. So interesting. So it likes black after that. That's kind of interesting. So after c5, the computer just recommends h3, not doing much of anything. He played bishop b3. Oh, that's also a computer line. So computer recommended move. I thought this was good for me, just to grab that bishop and play on like this. And I guess black has a slight advantage as a result of that. And maybe because of the placement of the knight on e1, it's not doing very much. So he gets that back in the game. That allows me to grab his other bishop. And now I have the two bishops advantage, which the computer likes. But this was a mistake. Yeah, I kind of realized this after the game. Or after I made the move, rather, in the game. This... the bishop is pinned because if I move the bishop out of the way, queen takes rook check, rook takes rook, rook takes rook, mate. So I can't move this bishop at all, and white can take advantage of that by playing knight d5. So that's this move, knight to d5. So from here it hits the queen, and it also hits my bishop. So he's going to deprive me of my lovely dark squared bishop. I go to d8, he takes with check, and I have to take back. And now my queen is subject to a attack from the rook there. So computer recommends knight e5 as the way to play this. And the queen has to go back to d8, and he's getting a pretty good attack going here. So you got to watch out for these. Oh, and the queen is going to take on c5. After queen d8, queen takes c5. So it looks like black is just picking up that loose pawn there. So, so this move rook to e8 was a mistake. But fortunately for me, he didn't spot that, and I played queen f2. And now the game continues. He didn't have to worry about defending this pawn over here, actually. It seems like I'm threatening it, but if the knight moves, but the knight could go to e4, and if I take that pawn, he can play c3, preventing the bishop from getting back along this diagonal, and then I have to go here to try and get back in the game and avoid being trapped. And this bishop is kind of out of play, and white has an improved position compared to the other line, even though 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, he's sacked a pawn, but the computer actually thinks white is slightly better, so that means it's a good good compensation for the pawn. Basically, he gets one of my pieces out of play, and he's got a free rein on the king side to try and develop an attack. So after b5, threatening to harass this knight, defending the pawn back here is not the right move. Just go ahead and play knight to e4. And so at this point the game is about even up until he plays this move, knight d2. And I'd been thinking about ways to get my bishop to d4, which is a good square for the bishop anyway. And so I was harassing this knight, thinking I might trade it, and then I would be able to get that square. So he can play a number of things, but he can't move this knight, really. Moving this knight to d5 is an idea, or to e4 again, attacking this this bishop. Those are all things he could try, but moving that knight away allows bishop d4 with a pin, and it's game over from here. So I think I'll play through it without much commentary. He's attacking my queen, and he gets some activity with the minor pieces, which is pretty typical, I guess. But even though he wins the exchange, he's just down so much material that there's no hope. And a queen against a rook, the queen is just much too flexible. It can go around and check and grab things, and with the extra pawns I'm just going to easily win now. So anyway, it was a good game up until that one mistake, and I hope you guys learned something from the postmortem. If you have any comments, leave them in the section below, and I'll see you later. Bye.